Welcome back to Conversations for the Good. Good morning, Dr. Jane.
Good morning, Anna. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's good to be with you this morning.
It is. It's good to be together.
Yes, and I'm very, very excited about these next two episodes where we'll be discussing energy tapping. It's been around for a while and may sound a little different. However, many people give it credit for improving their lives.
Well, Anna, I have to tell you, my first reaction to it when I was first hearing about it was, this sounds bizarre. But fortunately, you don't have to believe in it in order for it to work. As I've mentioned before, I've always had clients who did not improve with traditional psychotherapy. So I was always open and oftentimes on the lookout for methods and alternative kinds of techniques that might help them.
So, what is energy tapping and where does it come from?
Well, its roots are traditional Chinese medicine, which is an ancient healing system. It's a system that works with the meridians, and it dates back about 5,000 years, probably more than that. And the meridian system, is considered one of at least 6 different systems within what we call the human energy matrix. And this makes up this matrix of different flows of energy within the human physiology. And the energy that we're talking about is with the meridians is electromagnetic and also subtle energies. We're able to actually measure electrical and electromagnetic currents with current instrumentation. But the subtle energy, it's interesting because we don't have the instrumentation to really measure it. However, there is scientific evidence that points to its existence. And the meridians are riverbeds. So it's really about channels of energy. In China, they're referred to as qi, or the energy is referred to as qi. In Japan, it's referred to as ki. And in India, it's referred to as prana. But these channels of energy provide the life force energy, which flows through the body. And really, each of the meridians is responsible for an individual organ system. So there's a meridian dedicated to, for instance, the cardiovascular system, the heart, the pulmonary system, the lungs, the kidneys, the liver. And whenever there's a glitch or a block in the flow of energy, there's going to be an accompanying symptom. There's going to be something that shows up that's going to demonstrate that something's not right. So the symptoms can be mental, they can be emotional, they can be physical, they can even be spiritual at times.
So, it runs parallel to the practice of acupuncture?
Well, yes, parallel to acupuncture and also parallel to a system called applied kinesiology, which is the study of body movements and the use of muscle strength testing to determine, and correct various health issues. So in acupuncture, as you know, tiny needles are inserted just below the skin along the points of the meridian. And this assists with correcting that flow of life force energy and actually treats the symptoms. Now, the focus of energy tapping that we're going to be doing is to correct a symptom by tapping the meridian endpoints. There are 2 endpoints to every meridian. We're going to be tapping one of those. And this restores the balance of energy in that particular meridian and will resolve the issue. The issue being is addressed by the tapping. For our purposes, we're going to be addressing emotional disturbances, because let's be clear about it. It's the emotional health that is really the foundation of our confidence and our self-esteem, as we've talked about in the past, our achievements, our relationships, and really the quality of life.
So, Dr. Jane, is this just used to address emotional disturbances only, or?
Oh, no, it's used for also, physical symptoms as well. can clear headaches. It's used to ease chronic pain. It's often used post-surgically, for healing purposes. Really, there's a myriad of physical symptoms. It's just for our purposes, we'll focus on mainly the emotional reactivity, because that's what we're finding so hard to deal with, during these unprecedented times of the pandemic. So that will be our focus. Things like fear and worry, grief, and sometimes it's kind of a general kind of a funky mood or lack of enthusiasm. Things like a block creativity. It could also be, what keeps me from really being consistent with my self care. What are the resistances that I have? Also cravings. It's great with working with cravings or any kind of compulsive behaviors.
Well, now that's one heck of a laundry list there. So where do we get started?
Well, we're going to start with a method called the emotional freedom technique. And this was devised by Gary Craig, who was a engineer and an executive coach in California. And we're going to be using what he called the basic recipe. So the basic recipe, and this is really devised to address emotional disturbances, any kind of funky emotional feelings that we might be having. So the basic recipe really has 4 ingredients. Very straightforward. They're done in a specific order. We do a setup is number 1. We do a tapping sequence of 14 meridians is number 2. We do tapping and eye rolls is the 3rd ingredient. And the 4th ingredient is the same as the 2nd ingredient. It's tapping in sequence 14 meridians. So let's start with the setup. The setup is really devised for us to prepare and kind of get the energy system in motion. So sometimes there are blockages, or there can be what we call in the energy field, we call it polarities, that can get in the way of actually releasing the emotional disturbance. So we really want to kind of set things up so we're able to release those so we can get to work on the real issue. There's also a specific blockage called a psychological reversal. And, Anna, you and I both know there are times when we have every intention to follow through with something or to make a change, and somehow there's some kind of a self-sabotage that's going on, unbeknownst to us. It's almost like it's below the surface, kind of in the unconscious. So in doing this particular setup, we're really doing what's called a 100% overhaul. It's going to target all the blockages and all the glitches, and it takes about 8 to 10 really seconds to get it all done. So we're going to start first with, we're going to kind of pick out that issue that we want to work with. What do I want to work on? And we want to name the disturbance. Is it anxiety? Is it fear? Is that funky mood? Is it sadness? Sometimes we don't even know what name to give it. Sometimes I just feel blah. That's all right. As long as you can feel it and you can give it a name, that's what we're going to be referring to. And as we do this, it's important that we remember to just kind of breathe easily throughout. So the setup has 3 parts. I've named my issue that I want to work on. And now I'm going to make an affirmation. I'm going to make a positive affirmation. And a positive affirmation is something that I say in a positive way as though it had already happened. So in present tense. This neutralizes and begins to neutralize the disturbance because I'm acknowledging that I have a problem, but I'm also pulling in my self-acceptance. So the affirmation sounds like this. Even though I have, and let's just use the word blah. Okay. Even though I'm feeling blah, I deeply and completely accept myself. And by the way, you don't have to believe it. You just have to say it. And while we're saying this, we're going to be saying it 3 times. Even though I feel blah, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I feel blah, I deeply and completely accept myself. And as we're doing this, we're going to rub a sore spot. It's called the sore spot. And it is just about 3 inches below this little clavicular notch here at my neck. Okay. It's where a man would tie his tie if he was going to tie a tie. There's a little U-shaped divot there. And it's about 3 inches below. You can see this, about 3 inches below there. and then to either side, either right or left, 3 inches. It's where I very often refer to it as where we pledge allegiance. Okay. So all we're doing, this is called a neurolymphatic spot. It's where there's a store of toxins very often. And sometimes if you feel around on your rib cage there will be an actual sore spot until you've worked it regularly. So what we're doing is we're just kind of motioning this massage toward our shoulder as we're saying the affirmation. Even though I feel blah, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I feel blah, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I feel blah, I deeply and completely accept myself. And the blah piece is going to be what we refer to as the reminder stage. Okay. So the 3 parts of the setup are the affirmation, right? And then the sore spot, rubbing the sore spot and repeating it 3 times. So we finished the first ingredient and now we're moving to the second ingredient. And I also suggest that while you're doing this, you're breathing easily. If you need to have water close by, because sometimes as we're shifting our energy, sometimes we need a sip of water. So keep that close by. I wanted to remind people of that. So the second ingredient is going to be, we're going to begin to tap the meridian endpoints. They're very specific endpoints to balancing the energy system. And we're going to tap them very solidly. So you're going to kind of hear the thump against your skeletal system. We can do either side of the body or both sides of the body, right? And you can use either hand. And I usually suggest that you use your index finger and your middle finger, okay? Because that's where we can get the most thump in our tapping. And we're going to tap approximately 7 to 8 times on each point. Now, this is an approximation. And initially, I found for myself that I was counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And while we're saying the reminder phrase, after a while, you'll just kind of get the sense of how long you need to tap, okay? Or you'll get kind of the sense of what it is to tap about 7 to 8 times. So let's take a nice, easy breath, and I'm going to actually demonstrate with you on it and just follow along where the tapping points are. Okay, so we're going to start with where the eyebrow meets the nose bone. And I'm going to tap. You can tap either side or you can tap both sides. And we're going to say that reminder phrase, feeling blah. And the second point is out to the side. Follow your eyebrows out to the side of your eye. Feeling blah. Yeah, nice easy breath, feeling blah. Underneath the eye, on the bony orbit underneath the eye, feeling blah. Nice easy breath. Underneath the nose, feeling blah. Crease of the chin. Easy breath, feeling blah. And we're going to move down to the collarbone. And remember that clavicular notch that we did? We're going to do about 1 inch below and 1 inch to either side. You can sometimes actually feel kind of these pointy ends of the collarbone, and it's just below there. Feeling blah. Feeling blah. Underneath my arms on my rib cage. You can get feeling blah. And then the front of my rib cage. Underneath the breasts. Feeling blah. And now we're going to move to the hands. And I talk about it as the inside nail beds. Okay, so the inside, if I put my hands together, would be this little area here. And it's just at that corner on the thumb, the index finger, the middle finger, and the little finger that we're going to be tapping. And so you can tap it like this, tapping the thumb, or sometimes I just put them together and tap the inside nail bed. Feeling blah. Nice easy breath. Then I go to the index finger, and again, I can tap like this, or I can put those little corners together and tap. Feeling blah. And the middle finger, feeling blah. Or you can do it together. We skip the ring finger. Okay. And we do the little finger. This is hard to do, this, kind of do them together. So I tap the corner, or sometimes I'll just kind of massage it vigorously, with real intention. And then the next one is over to the side, this fleshy part of the hand. It's called the karate chop. And we can do tapping here, like this. Or we can bump them together, like this. This is the 13th. Feeling blah. Just let that blahness be there if it's there. And then the 14th meridian, or the last meridian, is going to be on the back of the hand, is about a ½ inch down from the knuckle between the 4th and 5th finger, the ring finger and the little finger, right here. Okay, right there. And I'm going to tap there, feeling blah, feeling blah, blah, blah. So we've just done the second ingredient. This is tapping the 14 meridians. We're going to keep tapping the back of our hand as we do eye rolls, humming, and counting. And this sequence targets the neurocenters in the brain. It actually activates them to support the balancing of the energy and releasing the disturbance. So we're not only working with, from the neck down, but we're also working with the neurocenters. And we're going to continuously tap this point. It's called the gamut point. And we located it, remember, it's about a ½ inch down from the knuckles on the back of the hand. And we're going to continuously tap it. And I'll go through the instructions, because we're going to tap, go ahead and tap. We're thinking about being blah. And then we're going to close our eyes, and we're going to open our eyes as we're tapping, feeling blah. And then I'm going to move my eyes in a sharp down right, feeling blah. And then a sharp down left. Nice, easy breath. And I'm going to roll my eyes now in 360 degrees all the way around. Just take your time. Want to really stretch all the way around as you're tapping, feeling blah. And now doing it in the opposite direction. Just reverse the motion. Feeling blah. Nice, easy breath. And now we're going to hum. Yes, we are, Anna. We're going to hum about 2 seconds. And why don't we you can do anything simple, any simple little ditty. Happy birthday, Yankee Doodle, twinkle, twinkle, little star. It doesn't matter. We're going to do happy birthday. And now we're going to count to 5 rapidly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice, easy breath. And go back to humming. We're going to continue to tap just momentarily. And now we've finished that third ingredient of the sequence. And we're going to now close it by doing a complete 14 meridians again, just like we did before. So we go up to where our eyebrows meet the nose bone, feeling blah, and taking a nice easy breath. Out to the side of the eyes, easy breathing, feeling blah. Underneath the eyes, underneath the nose. Just easy breathing, feeling the blahness, crease of the chin, collarbone, underneath the arms, underneath the breasts. That's right. And just working on our thumbs now, feeling blah. Index finger, feeling blah. Breathe easily. Middle finger, little finger, karate chop, and back of the hand. And now finish off with just a nice, easy breath. And we'll be doing more kind of investigating and evaluating in our second episode on tapping. But this would be a time that I would check out the blondness and see if it's dissipated at all. Okay. But for our purposes today, it's really about going through this sequence and really getting tuned into the sequence. So I'm doing the setup. And it's interesting because very often people talk about this basic recipe as it's kind of like baking a cake. I like to think of it as kind of making a sandwich, because we're picking the issue and then we're kind of prepping for it, like we make a sandwich, get out the ingredients, and then we're actually going to be, tapping the 14 meridians. That's the first slice of bread. The eye rolls, humming and counting while we're tapping the gamut is the second, or is the ham in between. And then when we do the sequence again, it's like that top layer of bread. Okay, so really simple, very straightforward. And after we do the tapping, I suggest that you take a sip of water because I need one.
That's actually very relaxing too. It's amazing. Oh.
Well, and it's interesting because it takes down whatever that is that's interfering with the emotional system and the energy system just being balanced, which really is a state of equilibrium or homeostasis. So once that's settled, no matter what the issue is, it's just we just feel kind of, this quiet, energized,
Yeah, it's good. Now, are there any limitations to when we do it, or where we do it, or how we do it? I know I was saying everything to myself. Is it better to say it out loud, the affirmation, or you can say it silently to yourself?
Well, Anna, if I'm doing this where there's anyone else around, I will very often kind of keep it in silence. But usually when I'm by myself, I'll say it out loud. I'll just kind of say it softly to myself. There really aren't any limitations. As I mentioned earlier, you don't even have to believe in it in order for it to work. And as far as where you do it, I find that, you can do it anywhere, anytime. I mean, clearly it looks a little odd. And so people very often are self-conscious. So they kind of, don't do it publicly, or they're very discreet when they're doing it publicly. People very often ask me, is it okay to do it at night? Because there's this thought process of, if I energize myself, I'm not going to be able to sleep. But remember, we're balancing the energy system. So when a balanced energy system supports all physical and emotional processes, including sleep. And my own experience is that when I'm unable to sleep, it usually has to do with some form of overthinking, or I'm worried about something. And so this is where I can really intervene in that whole process and fall asleep, or if I wake up in the middle of the night, and sometimes can't get back to sleep, tapping saves me every single time, because I'm able to release whatever that disturbance is. And sometimes it's really unclear what it is. It might have come from a dream process that I've been in, but clearly, my adrenaline is pumping and I need to fall asleep. So doing a tapping process is what allows me to just kind of ease back into that sleepful time.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because you taught me tapping before, but I never really thought of it about doing it at night before I go to sleep. So I'm going to give that a try for sure. So where do we go from here, Dr. Jim?
Well, the key to working with the emotional freedom technique is practice. It takes a bit of time to get to know the procedure and the sequence of things. The more we do it, the less confusing it tends to be. When I was first learning it, I would sit on the edge of the bed morning and night and run through just the basic recipe. Okay, the sequence of the setup and the tapping, the eye rolls, humming and counting, and the tapping. My issue in the morning might be that I was tired or I was overwhelmed by the upcoming demands of the day. At night, it might be, again, tiredness or worry or angst of some kind. So my affirmation might be something like, even though I'm feeling tired, even though I'm feeling worried or overwhelmed, I deeply and completely accept myself. And then I would run through the entire recipe. Okay, head out for the day or go to bed, whatever needed to be done. So, it quickly became a routine that I began to use with various disturbances, as they would come up during the day. And eventually, I actually took it to the office and began to, teach people how to use it. And I would always preface it by saying, Anna, are you willing to learn something that looks and feels kind of weird, but really can help you feel better? And most people would say yes.
Mhm. Well, I could see why, because it does really help. But when you're not used to seeing somebody tapping, at first you do think it's a little, odd. But now, what do you think? Should we go through the whole recipe, or do you want to do that at another time?
Well, let's just briefly go through it.
Okay.
And then we'll also have a follow-up technique where people can just go right into it. But for our purposes, let's just do a quick review. Okay. Um, we can start with that discovery statement, which is I need to pick out what I'm feeling. What is the disturbance that I want to deal with? So let's just say I'm feeling tense. Let's just say that. So I'm feeling tense. And so the setup is I'm going to start with the affirmation and rub the sore spot and say 3 times, even though I'm feeling this tension, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm feeling this tension, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm feeling this tension, I deeply and completely accept myself. Nice, easy breath. And now I'm going to start tapping the 14 meridians. Okay. Eyebrow meets the nose bone, feeling this tension out end of the eyebrow, side of the eye, feeling this tension underneath my eye, feeling this tension underneath my nose, feeling this tension, crease of my chin, feeling this tension, collarbone, feeling the tension. Nice, easy breathing. Underneath my arms, feeling the tension on my rib cage. Nice, easy breathing. Underneath my breasts on the rib cage, feeling my tension. Thumbs, feeling the tension. Index finger, feeling the tension. Middle finger, feeling the tension. Little finger, feeling the tension. Karate chop, feeling the tension. Back of my hand, feeling the tension. Now I'm going to start the eye rolls humming and counting while I continuously tap the back of my hand, close my eyes, open my eyes. Sharp down right, sharp down left, 360 in one direction, nice easy breathing, 360 in the other direction, feeling the tension, nice easy breath. I'm going to hum. Count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hum. Stop tapping. Fourth ingredient, go back to the sequence. Eyebrows meet the nose bone, follow out to the side of the eye, underneath the eyes, underneath the nose, feeling the tension, nice easy breathing, crease of the chin, collarbone, underneath my arms, feeling the tension, front underneath the breasts, feeling the tension, thumbs, feeling the tension, index finger, middle finger, little finger, karate chop, and back of the hand, that gamut spot. And then nice easy breath. And this is where I would go to that tension that I was feeling and notice whether or not it was dissipating and how much. And that's the basic recipe.
Well, I have one question, and that's, I think we need to finish that birthday humming song because I just don't like this humming it up. I don't feel like that. I want to finish the birthday song. Well, Dr. Jane, this gives us a lot to work with. And how about we give everyone a chance to learn the protocol and come back and talk more about, making the best use of it in our next conversation.
Great idea, Anna.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Looking forward to us getting started and until our next conversation.
Thank you, Anna.